They say rock bottom is loud, a crash, a break, a moment you remember like a scream. But for me, it was quiet. Just a folded eviction notice on the nightstand and the slow ticking of the clock above our broken heater. The kind of silence that wraps itself around your ribs and makes it hard to breathe. It was the second notice. I hadn't told Ryan. I couldn't. He was already slipping, drifting further away every day since he lost his job. 4 months ago, they called it downsizing. For us, it felt more like being erased. We were 6 years into our marriage, and this was the worst of it. Not because we fought, but because we didn't. Because we just stopped speaking, stopped looking each other in the eye. Ryan filled his days with rejection emails and cold cups of coffee. I filled mine with side hustles that barely paid anything. Babysitting, online surveys, selling my favorite clothes, even my engagement ring. I told myself love wasn't in diamonds, it was in bags of groceries and paid bills. But even those were running out. The apartment was small, but it had been ours. Now it felt like a waiting room for something awful. We were behind on rent, 3 months. Our bank balance mocked us, $42.17. And then there was Lucas. Lucas was our landlord. Maybe late 30s. Always looked like he just finished working out. He wasn't mean, just unreadable. Not the kind of guy who smiled much or offered second chances. Everyone in the building knew that once Lucas gave you a deadline, you met it or you left. That night, I couldn't sleep. Ryan lay beside me, peaceful in a way that made my stomach twist. I slipped out of bed, barefoot and cold, hoodie zipped up tight. I crossed the complex like a thief and stood in front of Lucas's door, heart pounding. The scent hit me first, bleach and cigarette smoke. The kind of smell that clings. I knocked twice. He opened immediately, shirtless. His body looked carved out of stone, his expression unreadable. "Claire," he said, stepping aside. "Can we talk?" His apartment was pristine. White walls, no photos, no clutter. Just space and silence. I stood in the middle of it, trying not to shake. "I know we're behind," I said. "I'm not asking for a pass. Just time. Please." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't soften, either. "Time doesn't pay bills. We're trying. Ryan's trying. I'm doing everything I can." He looked at me for a long moment. Not unkind. Not warm. "I could file eviction papers tomorrow." But, he paused. "There's another way." I frowned. "Another way?" "1 night with me. No rent. Clean slate." The room tilted. My mouth opened, then closed again. "You're joking." "I don't joke." It wasn't said cruelly. Just, like a business offer. "You're a grown woman. It's your decision." I wanted to scream at him, call him disgusting, storm out. But in that moment, my body did something worse. It froze. It didn't say no. It didn't say anything at all. I left without answering. The air outside felt thinner than before. Back in our apartment, Ryan stirred but didn't wake. 11 days until the eviction, maybe less. And now, this. The next day was a blur. I called my best friend, Madison. She always knew when I was off. "You sound like hell," she said. "I haven't slept." "You always keep it together, Claire. Don't fall apart now." That night, Ryan came home defeated again. Another rejection. "They said I'm overqualified." He slammed his fist on the table. A plate cracked. He sat down, head in his hands. "Maybe we should leave. Sleep in the car for a while. Start fresh somewhere." Start fresh with what? I wanted to ask. But I said nothing. He went to bed early. I didn't. I stared at our bank app. Still $42.17. My fingers hovered over my phone screen before I finally typed, "Can we talk?" 10 minutes later, I stood at Lucas's door again. He opened it wordlessly. This time, in a black t-shirt. No smirk, no satisfaction. "You sure?" he asked. I nodded. Not because I wanted to. Because I couldn't see another way. He stepped aside. The bedroom was cold, too clean, the bed made like a hotel room. "You can back out," he said. Let's just get it over with. What happened wasn't romance. It wasn't desire. It was necessity wrapped in skin, a transaction dressed in silence. He was gentle, too gentle. Like someone who'd done this before and learned not to make it worse. We didn't speak after. We dressed like strangers. I left without a word. Ryan was asleep on the couch when I got home. I stood there for a long time, staring at the curve of his back. It's done, I whispered. But it wasn't. The days after blurred into one long, grey smear. Food tasted like nothing. The air felt heavy. Ryan asked if I was okay. I said I was just tired. He believed me. Or maybe he didn't want to ask. A week passed. A new rent slip slid under the door. Balance, $0. No note. No message. Just silence. Ryan raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything. Maybe he thought I got help. Maybe he didn't want to know. Madison called again. You sound weird. I did something, I said. A pause. Did you get the money? Sort of. Silence again. Then, that doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who survived. But I didn't feel like I'd survived. I felt hollow. Cracked. Like a mirror that couldn't reflect anything whole anymore. Then Ryan got the call. A job offer. Logistics work. Long hours, but solid pay. He laughed like I hadn't heard in months. He kissed me that night. Kissed me like we still had a chance. I kissed him back, but something inside me stayed cold. Lucas passed me once by the mailboxes. Didn't even nod. To him, it was over. A moment forgotten. To me, it was a fracture I couldn't unfeel. That night, I stood in front of the mirror for a long time, tracing the fine lines at the corners of my eyes. I didn't look ruined. But I didn't look whole, either. And I wondered, when did surviving start to feel so much like sure?